Hi guys! Welcome to episode 8, the Ojo episode of this series. Don't worry, I'm not Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's not done much in this save, thankfully. But we're continuing on the road to Full Gear. We've got this week's Dynamite and Collision, and of course then next week's the Go Home shows. And then hopefully a very stellar pay-per-view as we build up to those matches. We already know Claudio Castagnoli versus Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley versus Samoa Joe, just to name two. I'm really hyped to just. It's a lot of storylines. I'm like, oh, I want to do this, but I want to do that. It's a really interesting place right now. There's so many possibilities. But hey, let's chill, let's relax, let's do it. It's another episode of AEW Dynamite. Let's do it. So we're at the Arlen Horton Sports Centre. We're continuing to run in Florida, trying to gain popularity in our home venue. And we start off this particular episode of Dynamite with Bryan Danielson having some words for Claudio Castagnoli and of course Jon Moxley. And so in this instance, basically Bryan's saying he's been fighting, he's having all these great matches, but it's going to be basically the fight his life when he faces Claudio, as he hopes to not just retain the AEW World Championship, but keep his career. In the second part of the angle, we have Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley come out and they attack Bryan Danielson, which leads to then Samoa Joe coming out to make the save. Obviously, Joe in this mod starts a heel, so this is my way to turn him to a babyface. It's also going to be our main event, Bryan Danielson and Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley. Overall, the Bryan storyline has advanced and gained heat. It was a 66 segment, and Samoa Joe, the turn was a complete success. So all good there. The little story I've got that's not really a storyline but just having matches between them was Penta and Roddy this time, as obviously Lucha Bros had a little feud with the Undisputed Kingdom. Decent matchup saw Roderick Strong defeat Penta in 11:49 with the double knee gutbuster. This was the steal the show match of the night and it acquired an overall rating of 66, so pretty similar in terms of performances. The 61 plays the 64, but Roddy, as I say, is going to get a strong push in this, and that is a good win for him. Next up, we had a wild brawl which saw Takeshita in action against Shibata, and this had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Takeshita defeats Shibata in 11:50 with a javelin kick, but also helped with a little bit of interference from Don Callis, of course one of the ones that's remained in the Don Callis family, and a 71 for the segment. That's pretty good. 76 for Takeshita. Him v Ospreay could be something special, hopefully. And we hear some words from Don Callis here. He says, it's a shame, that Ospreay seemed to get into the head of Kyle Fletcher, and obviously he's disappeared. He's also finds it interesting that Powerhouse Hobbs decided to align himself with MVP, but at the same time has attacked Ospreay's friend. But Callis in this situation, he's just looking out for Takeshita, and he's explaining Takeshita's motives. He wants to win a championship and believes he can take that from Ospreay. So a 54 segment, and it continues the does Ricochet still have the spark storyline and gain some heat. Speaking of Powerhouse Hobbs, he was in action next, and I was about to have a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling as he defeated Commander in 6:35 by a frog splash. A 54, these two didn't click. I was kind of hoping, just the power performance of Hobbs throwing Commander about would work, but hasn't. But it gives him some momentum and makes him continue to look like a force. And then we have some action after it. Basically, Ricochet comes flying out. He wants to get some revenge on Powerhouse Hobbs. And Ricochet's about to get the upper hand of the little battle with a couple of drop kicks and using his speed to his advantage. But MVP manages to pull Hobbs out the way and they retreat up the ramp. So a 44 there, and Ricochet's getting better. He's getting, I think you can pretty much assume we'll be having Ricochet, Powerhouse Hobbs at Full Gear. Next up was about in the women's division, and obviously we're looking to ensure all their contenders have good momentum going into that women's championship match, and in this instance it was a decent match that saw timeless Toni Storm defeat Emi Sakura in 8:09 with a strong 0. Some very good performances. They came into it with some good chemistry that also lifted the match, and a segment of 66. So overall, really good stuff. We're starting to see a lot of these kind of matches that are put together show good chemistry, which is only going to benefit us down the line as well. So maybe a good mix of styles. Between this, we have Mina Shirakawa backstage. She's like, I don't know what to do in this instance. She wants to become women's champion, but she's seen what Toni Storm's just done. She's seen that Mariah May is in action next, and she's like, I just have to get my head focused and become the next AEW Women's World Champion. Obviously, talking about the history as well that she's had with both women. In this universe, she's technically not teamed with Toni Storm in Stardom lately, because that happened technically when the save had started, so it's not canon. But 46 anyway, the storyline advances. That was just trying to get some heat to the story. And then it was Mariah May's match. She was taking on Ty Mello, and it was about to have a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling as Mariah May defeated Tay Mello in 9:22 with a reverse bulldog. Overall, it's okay. It's a 51. It's not fantastic. I feel sorry for Tay because I do quite enjoy watching her, but just where she is in the pecking order, she's basically an enhancement talent at this point, putting her main stars over. We then had a little segment where we had the remarkable Renee Paquette as Excalibur calls her, and she was with Pac, and basically Pac's calling out Wheeler Yuta. She said, Yuta, it's been too long now, you still haven't really made your decision. Well, enough is enough. Next week, what is happening? Are you with the Blackpool Combat Club, or are you with Bryan Danielson? Because we need to sort out this trios division in this company for good. So that was a 53. We didn't get a great performance from Renee. That's what I was kind of hoping for in the Bryan storyline advances, but it lost heat. We then had our co-main event technically, and it saw Daniel Garcia cut a promo. It's just him saying, I'm here, I'm ready for a fight. They don't need to be assigned to the AEW roster. It can genuinely be anyone, even from the outside. Let's put this TNT Open Challenge. Let's do it. So a 54 for that one. We basically had someone say, oh, I'm 11 nearby, I'll appear, can I go on the show? And I thought, we'll give you a match, we'll see how you're doing, we'll have you against Daniel Garcia. And this match was decent. It was Elijah that stepped up on a one-off appearance, so don't think he's in AEW for anything, it was just because he popped up. But he defeats, Daniel Garcia defeats him in 9:05 with a sharpshooter. I made it storytelling, just I needed to have a storytelling matchup and didn't feel any other ones were kind of worth that. And Garcia makes the fourth defence of the TNT Championship. Overall, a 59, some good stuff with Garcia getting a 61, and that will lead us into our main event. But first, I always forget how I book these shows, and I literally look at it before I record the episode. A few words from the House of Black, Brody King and Malachi Black, just saying they are the reigning champions of the tag division, and they can, the Bucks can use all their political power, they can try and manipulate the odds, they can take out Buddy Matthews, but I think they're forgetting once they're in the ring just how damn dangerous the House of Black is. So 52 there. And the main event, as expected, delivered. That is some very good surprises in green, we'll get to. About the had great wrestling and good heat. The Blackpool Combat Club, that's John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, defeated Bryan Danielson and Samoa Joe in 2017 when Claudio pinned Bryan by using underhanded tactics. So I felt like this was the best story to tell. Like, you've now lost Bryan to Claudio in non-title action. Like, what's going to happen when you've got one-on-one match? He's got the upper hand on you. 76 for the wrestling, a 61 for the crowd, and 80 for the segment. Maybe I should just have tag matches with Bryan Danielson and Samoa Joe, because the great chemistry boosts Bryan up to a 91. And I think of our top 10 matches, 9 of them are Bryan Danielson matches. But story advances, it gains heat. Great chemistry for both teams, so we can utilise that going forward. And I should maybe put the show in the 70s again, so I don't think we're getting great promos. 74, so that's good. Some strong stuff there from Bryan, Claudio, Moxley and Joe, and some strong stuff as well from Takeshita and Shibata. But that at least moves along a couple of stories. As I say, there's 4 or 5 matches at least for there that's going to be at the pay-per-view. You know straight away, you've got Claudio versus Bryan, you've got Joe against Moxley, we still need to do Hangman v Darby, you get a triple threat with a woman, you get Hobbs v Ricochet, Takeshita versus Ospreay, and I've still tried to fit in the likes of Okada and various others for Full Gear. I'm wondering what they gave Okada a break, because Okada's obviously going to be heavily featured at the end of the year. with the Continental Classic. So main thing is a 74 increases her pop in 18 regions. We'll see if there's any locker room incidents. None, that's good to see. So what I actually wanted to check before we obviously run everything through. Top matches, Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson. So top 6 are all Bryan, 8 and 9 are Bryan, Ospreay and Ricochet at 10, and the Bucks at 7. So yeah, I'm absolutely spamming Bryan Danielson. It's going to be a pain when I'm going to stick to my word and actually give him a break when he loses the title. So that's going to be very tough, that someone's going to have to try and carry the company. But anyway, that's our potion for Dynamite. Let's move on, let's do Rampage, and we'll see you for Collision, Colliders. It's now time for your roundup of Rampage, some ongoings in the world of wrestling, and then Collision. So, we'll start with Rampage. Jamie Hayter defeat Red Velvet up from ROH. We had a little stare down between between Megan Bayne and Jamie Hayter. Whether it will lead to something straight away, probably not, but let them, just kind of stare each other out, plant the seeds for something at one point. Megan Bayne then defeated Kiera Hogan from ROH. We had the Acclaimed cut a promo on the MXM collection, and that saw the MXM collection defeat the Acclaimed in a 57 rated match. So pretty good stuff. Our tag stuff seems to do quite well. We had an angle with Harley Cameron and Saraya. We used the angle we had. It was a angle from one of our creative stuff, and it actually seemed to work with Harley, so that's good, a 54. Top Flight defeat the Gates of Agony. Obviously Bishop Can takes the pinfall, and we had Dante pick up the win there to try and get him some more popularity. We had some words from Anna Jay, which got a 43, and we had Jeff Jarrett defeat Alex Reynolds in the main event, which was a 58. In terms of ongoings, so we're going to go with a very interesting storyline, which I'm going to try and pay off at World's End. It doesn't suit the product, but it's just something I want to try and cover. So that will be introduced on this episode of Collision. So someone's making a very interesting debut. As you know, obviously we've got Io Shirai signed. I've also got a deal arranged for Lyra Valkyrie. I've heard about her. I've seen bits there. I don't religiously watch WWE. I know she was doing pretty good stuff in NXT, but as someone, as I say, I've never really used before, so interested to try them in this world of AEW. I think it's a 2-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal. But we'll see how they do. She's got popularity, so that's always going to help. And the most interesting thing, which was catching me a bit off guard, was Serena Deeb's dating Penta. Aye, that's a thing. So, yeah. We'll kick on. We'll do Collision now. Hopefully it's a decent show. I booked it well in the midst of Bad Blood. I'm actually currently watching Finn Balor. Well, there's your spoiler there. Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. But I will kick on. This is going to be Collision. So we're straight into it with over 3,000 in the Watsco Centre, so that's good. That's probably one of our bigger attendances recently. And I started off with a TBS Championship match. I couldn't have Athena at all. I believe she's working for MLW. She signed a handshake deal with them as well, so obviously she wasn't available to borrow up. And I didn't see it. Well, I couldn't even check if she was, absences, you'd kind of see it. They even given that option. So we had Mercedes gain some momentum here with this one. She defeated Queen Aminata in the 8:46 with a bank statement, submission victory, moneymaker, if you want to call it. So, 9th defence of the belt. My worry is she's going to get to a stage where she's going to be so popular and so over that it's going to be difficult to take the belt off her. But a 54 for the wrestling, a 44 for the crowd, and a 60 for the segment. Pretty encouraging stuff with Camille doing some good work at ringside. After it, we got some words from Mercedes. We also have just Camille standing, just very intimidating. Obviously, it wouldn't let me target Athena because obviously she's not on the main roster, so that wasn't an option. So a 43 for the segment just for Mercedes and Camille, of course. 8 days' time, those two will go head to head, Mercedes and Athena. Then we had the big debut. A 6-minute interview, we had Mick Foley talking along to Renee Paquette. Renee came across well. Mick debuts the legend gimmick, which was poor, sadly, but the segment was a 68. So, the rumours in real life was he was going to come back and do one more match, and that was going to put him in a position where he was going to happily retire. He was going to get in great shape, obviously. I think he had some, I can't remember the exact issues, but it was medical stuff meant he couldn't do it. I asked him in this if he'd want to come back as a wrestler out of retirement. He said yes. So I've got him as a wrestler, an occasional wrestler, a road agent, a manager, and a colour commentator. We are going to give him that one match. And just because I think Mick Foley's one of those ones I've always kind of liked, I've always enjoyed. Certainly, he's one of those legends. I've went out and got a few figures of his just because I say that I love the Commissioner Foley stuff. I've got that. To my left hand side here, I've got my Three Faces of Foley figures, so there's at least 4 action figures of Mick Foley, plus that's before he had in any Funko Pops as well. Just a bit of a shame he's missed the McMahon comments, but that's his opinion, sadly. So after him, we have a matchup with Darby Allin taking on Johnny TV. I think this matchup pretty much was about to take place on Collision, literally 15 minutes time. Not obviously it's tapes, that's how we know about it. But anyway, it's a decent matchup. Darby picks up the win in 11:34 with the coffin drop. Obviously try to gain him some momentum before he takes on Hangman at Wrestle Dream at Full Gear. So a 60 for the wrestling, a 48 for a crowd, and a 64 for this segment. Hopefully my booking's a lot better than my speaking at this time of night, but yeah, the joys of always playing these games late at night, and sometimes you just end up talking a load of crap. But yeah, that's the plan, is to try and get as many people with like high momentum going into these matches so they deliver. So then have a little segment backstage where Darby's coming back through the curtain after his victory, and he bumps into Mick Foley. Mick just basically says he sees a lot of himself in Darby with all the crazy stunts. He says be careful, but at the end of the day he knows it's his body, and just like let him do what he wants to do. Just try and inflict some of that stuff on Hangman Adam Page, because he knows that Hangman's a dangerous man, so Darby will have to be on his A game. So a 68 for the segment. Storyline advances and loses a bit of heat because obviously it's Bryan's final run there in that storyline as well, because there was that many different layers to it. Effectively I could have put them in their own storyline, but hey, Darby was part of it to start with. Mick Foley's getting better at his gimmick, so that's good to see. Also, Mick, it guaranteed me like a 68 segment, so I didn't have to put too much pressure on the main event. Anyway, tag action had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Our storytelling match of the day was the Patriarchy, Christian Cage and Killswitch defeating the Outrunners in 7:45 when Christian pinned Turbo Floyd with a Killswitch, ironically. My plan was basically Killswitch does everything and then Christian just weasels his way to the win. Overall, a 59. Christian with a very good performance with a 69. Killswitch only a 45. And it's good to see there great chemistry between Christian Cage and Killswitch as well. Basically, Christian still has that chance to be the AEW World Champion, but we're just biding our time with that and letting things play out. And he wants to remind us of that after it, where he just basically talks about it. He says, I'm going to be the best champion, then, now, forever. When the time is right, I'll be that champion. So Killswitch, Nick Wayne and Shayna Wayne in the background, and a 60 rated segment for everyone's favourite father. We then had a decent matchup here. I had Wheeler Yuta defeat Lee Moriarty in 11:58 by pinfall. These two gave us a 62 rated segment. Great chemistry together. I'm getting that a lot, which is good to see that these kind of combinations are working. It gives me a bit of confidence once we get further down the line that when the popularity's there, the crowd's there, and hopefully everyone else will be as well. And afterwards, we have a few words from Yuta. Sadly loses seat to our storyline, but it's just basically I'm saying like Claudio, and Pac. Dynamite, we'll put the Trios Championships on the line. Let's sort this out once and for all. Then came into our tag match that we advertised last week. It was about with good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as the Grizzled Young Veterans defeated FTR in 13:48 when Zach Gibson pinned Cash Wheeler while using the ropes for leverage. The storyline advances, it gains heat. A 68 is a very good performance, but I also felt in this instance that I couldn't just have FTR beat them. Where do you go for there? So you kind of want to be in a situation where the vets win, and then it gives FTR a chance to try and get their win back. So happy with that. Feel delighted with that, and that can hopefully build to more stuff in our tag division. Also encouraging to see Zach Gibson get a 70 rated performance as well. Next up, we have a little segment here. I just want to say as well a thank you to Jandres17 on the RWC Discord. I was really struggling for a faction name for them, and we are going to call them the Virtuous Vanguard. So that's the team of Duna Purrazzo, Megan Bain and Taya Valkyrie. And again, it's just a promo for them to just basically say they're on a win and run, and they're going to start targeting championships down the line, because they are unstoppable. Next up, Wild Brawl. That had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Powerhouse Hobbs defeated a one-off opponent in Riddick Moss in 7:29 with a frog splash. A 52 for this segment, again just to make Hobbs look really strong into full gear. Riddick Moss was one of two people who appeared and just wanted to hang out backstage, so we gave Riddick the opportunity. The other one was Macy Estrella, but we just kind of kept her in the back, because there was not really any negativity between them and any of our wrestlers on the show. And after it, Powerhouse Hobbs just beats him down some more. 45. He's not my wrestler. He's got to make our guys look strong. And then we came to our main event of the evening. This one was a good wrestling match and a decent reaction from the crowd. I probably could have made that a title match, but opted against it. And Will Ospreay defeated Roderick Strong in 13:32 with a hidden blade. And we made this our Steal the Show match, because I felt in terms of I wanted to go technical masterclass, but I was a bit worried about the psychology level with the two of them. That wouldn't be able to carry it. It's good when you've got Bryan, but obviously a bit tricky here. But some good stuff. Roddy off his game, but good chemistry. Brought them up to an 85 and a 55 and gave us a 75 rated matchup. Not penalised for the storyline, just physical condition of both guys and some inconsistency. And finish up the show with just Will Ospreay cutting some words on Konosuke Takeshita. And it continues the storyline he's in, which gains some heat, and just says, obviously knows all about his work from being in the Don Callis family at one point, but he's done with that. He has no idea where Kyle is, but he just wants to say to Takeshita, bring all you've got, let's put on a show for these fans and have the best match possible. And that was a 67. Overall, the show gave us a 72, and that increased our popularity in 13 regions, so that's good to see. We'll see what that'll be a program. I think that'll just be in the States. Financial report, we're up to 1.1 million profit in the save so far. Popularity, yep, just basically a couple of regions in Oceania, and all across the US. The Northwest goes from a 64 to a 65 as well, and no media scrum. We'll quickly jump to the main screen. We'll see if anything's popped up, if there's any contracts up or anything, because I say realism is going out the window as quickly as possible, because we've kind of got some achievements to hunt for. But I was quite happy with that one. I need to obviously realise that I can't rely on Bryan Danielson forever, so I've got to test the waters and see what I can. So Janice Hoop is obviously from their training facility. Couple injuries there. Collision, drawn a lot of praise, that's good to see. Ryo Sato. Couple of people moving on there. I don't think there's anything up. Marvelous have hired Don Callis. Nope, I don't think there's anything there that directly affects us massively. And Shun Skywalker, don't worry though, is going to be a heel in Ring of Honor, just to fill out Ring of Honor a little bit. Apart from that, Collision got a 1.18 in the TV rating, and yeah, that's going to push us on to our go-home shows. I need to try and get all these storylines that we've got, plus the ones in my head, to the best position possible. The good news is, very hot, very hot. Cold, so we still need to try and get that over. Hot now between the Grizzled Young Veterans and FTR. Extremely cold with Russian Holograms, so I may end that soon. And a little cold for the Women's Championship, so that needs to have a big night on Dynamite and Collision next week before the pay-per-view. So, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, a wee thumbs up appreciated. Let us know your own saves are getting on, whether it's in the Real World Chronicles, whether it's with the Who's mod, or just whether it's Nasiverse or historical, let me know. And remember to check out the Fantasy Bookers subreddit, the Grey Dog Software forums, twdb.com, and bethebooker.net. So take it easy. See you soon. Bye bye.